I refused to go to my daughter's graduation celebration. I know I sound like a monster, but here's the exact reason why I did not show up at the ceremony. I'm in my 40s, I'm a female. I have a daughter who's 18 who I'll call B. When she was younger, her father, broke up before she was born, was very involved in her life and she was admittedly a dad's girl. But this all changed when she turned 8 and he got married. He barely called and just abandoned her for his new family. This was obviously hard on her and she rebelled a lot. But she went to therapy and seemed good. B has not since seen him since he was 12 and he speaks to her maybe 3 times a year at max. When he calls, she believes he's now back in her life for good. Then he'll ghost her for the remainder of the year. This being said, B and I have a great relationship. We do everything together. She even refers to me as her best friend, so I'd say we have a great relationship. Recently was her graduation and I was so excited. But then she came to me a week before and told me she's going to invite her dad and his son. And because her dad does not want to see me, I can't come. B told me that was the only way he was going to go. I angrily told her I felt betrayed and won't forgive her for this. She just told me I have been there for me other milestones and she wants her father to experience something too. Things got heated and we argued. The night before her graduation, I pleaded with her but she ignored me when I spoke and only said, quote, "I'm sorry, but I'm not changing my mind." I left and cried until my sister offered to take me out during the graduation to take my mind off of it. I agreed. I woke up the next morning to my daughter bawling her eyes out. I looked at the time and realized the ceremony starts in 5 minutes. I asked B why she hasn't left yet. B then tells me her father ditched her and is not answering any phone calls. I hugged her and tell her to make the most of her graduation. She looks shocked and asks if I'm not going to the ceremony now that her father isn't, and how it'll be embarrassing to be the only one there without parents. I said, "I'm sorry, I already have plans." She then screamed and called me a bad mom. I apologized once again and got ready to meet my sister. I chose not to go because I felt betrayed and wanted to teach her actions do have consequences, even if it broke me that I did not go. Since B returned, she has not spoken a lick of words to me, and she looked depressed and like she's been crying for ages. I'm starting to regret not going. My sister says I did the right thing, but one of the moms of my daughter's school said she was depressed at graduation. And now I feel bad that I ruined what was supposed to be a day to remember, because I wanted to teach my daughter a lesson. So, am I the a-hole? So, I think not the a-hole on this one. I think OP did do a valuable lesson and tried to teach the daughter, hey, I'm the one here for you. You can keep blowing me off if you want, but your father is going to repeatedly do what he's always done, not be there for you. Guys, let me know what you think of this, but just so you know, there's a complete update for this story, and we're going to check that out now. If you're new to the channel, consider subscribing as Mr. Reddito reads daily stories. Okay, here's the update. I don't think I'm a bad mom for this one thing, and I accept the judgments and read everything. To answer your questions, B does go to therapy. This isn't the first time B has ditched me for her father. She's been doing it for 10 years. This is the first time I've said no to her after her father abandoned her back. I've asked her therapist if B's being manipulated, and she says no, based on B and her father's messages. And my daughter's just grasping onto a reality that sadly isn't there. So here's the update. I went to my daughter and apologized for not going to her graduation. I also explained that it is not a nice feeling to be left out, and I feel underappreciated. Also, that is fine to want her father there for her, but I should be too. B told me that she's sorry things ended this way and that she loves me. giving me a hug, and wants things to go back to normal. And that she acted like a jerk. I told her nevertheless I should have been there, and if I could do this over again, I would have gone. Honestly, I said this as I thought she knew her dad can't be trusted. I felt bad for her. Then, I asked her if she regretted uninviting me in the first place, and unsurprisingly, she said no. This hurt me, but I figured it was because I did not go, so it's understandable. But no, she continued saying that it was probably best I did not go because she wouldn't have been more miserable as she would have preferred her father there anyways. Then I got pissed. I didn't show it though. I told her my feelings were hurt, especially since I've been there for her. And she said that she's always going to want her father there for big moments. I asked, even at the expense of me and knowing he most likely won't show? And she replied, I mean, if I have to make sacrifices, I'm going to have my dad there. I repeated the question as she seemed to be swerving it, but she just shrugged and went on playing with her phone. I told her not to expect everyone to apologize and turn a blind eye when she doesn't value them in the real world. And I also said, knowing how she feels, don't expect another apology from me. This is the last time I'm doing this. She looked teary-eyed, but I left. I don't know how other parents do this. I know her father's going to keep abandoning her, and honestly, I'm at my limit. And if I don't know whether I was wrong or not before, I definitely know I was right in not going. I know I'm going to get a lot of backlash saying this, but I'm bitter and angry. I understand wanting her dad there, but I should be on the same level of importance as him. I'm still going to be there for her when he inevitably ditches her again. But if this behavior carries on to her next graduation, or heck, even wedding day, I can't say I'll be that apologetic to her. I should have just listened to, not the a-hole. Well, OP says she made the right decision by not going, and it turns out her daughter doesn't really care about her as much as she thought, and she wants the dad to be there instead. Let me know what you guys think about this. Our next story is very interesting. Am I the a-hole for refusing to apologize to my husband in writing after I canceled all his family invitations to a Christmas celebration to our home? Here's exactly what happened. So, to give some context, I'm a 32-year-old female and have been married to my husband, who's 39, for 4 years. I work a full-time job while he does a 3 times a week night shift. We have a 2-year-old and I'm 6 months pregnant. This whole drama starts days ago. My husband has a large family and on every Christmas, they'd gather at his father's house. My father-in-law passed away a year ago, and this year, my husband decided, as the man of the family, to host Christmas at our home. Unbeknownst to me, he sent out invitations for a 5-day Christmas celebration to his entire family, which are about 26 members in total. I found out by accident, and I was shocked to react. I confronted him on it, and he said I shouldn't be surprised, and just get used to it because after his father's death, he's now the family's head, and all major events will be held in our house and in his presence. I freaked out and said no, this is wrong. He should have talked to me first before sending out any invitations to his family, knowing I have other commitments like work and taking care of the house and our son. He said we'll manage if I took time off work, but that means more workload later, and it'd take away from the maternity leave. I demanded he cancel the invitations, but he refused, saying, quote, "Over my dead body." Then he walked out. I ended up sending a mass text to everyone who received an invitation, explaining that we will not be hosting a Christmas this year. He found out and went off on me, calling my behavior outrageously appalling, and said that I broke his word to his family and made him look small with no authority. I, in a very strict tone, replied that I did not sign up to host a celebration and accommodate 26 people while pregnant. Taking care of a toddler and working, and I don't care if he became the head of the family after his father's death, because it means nothing to me. He took offense to that and walked out almost crying. He later talked about how I disrespected his father and him with that, and what I said had demanded a handwritten apology for canceling the event and for being insensitive towards him and undermining his authority in front of his family. But I said no apology from me in any form, and the issue is still up, especially with my mother-in-law giving me a stern talk to about how out of line I was for disrespecting my husband's decision regarding the holiday celebration with family. It's absolutely absurd that the husband would try to do this big move and not even mention it to his wife. But I think the craziest thing, he's demanding a written apology like he's an 8th grade teacher or something. I don't know, I think that's a huge red flag, and I was like, could not believe this was happening. The final story of the day, am I the a-hole for interrupting my husband's live stream? Why did I do that? Well, he hasn't watched our kid for 4 hours. I'm 32 female, and my husband has a YouTube channel with over 14,000 subscribers. He's been doing live streaming a lot lately, even though I told him that we have a responsibility to take care of. Before our daughter, she's 7 months old, was born, he'd stream randomly and spend a lot of time with his quote followers, answering questions and engaging in conversations. He keeps saying that his followers are good for his mental health, and that engaging with them weekly makes him become better and socializing and communicating. He's been complaining about how wanting to do a live stream for days. I told him we'd look at our schedule and see if we could get him some time to make it happen. Apparently, this wasn't good enough. Yesterday, I had to go grocery shopping and asked him to keep an eye on our daughter while she was asleep. He said okay. I was gone for 4 hours, but kept calling him to see if everything was okay. He'd tell me she was alright and that she's sleeping. I started getting this weird feeling something was wrong, because she must have been hungry or needed a diaper change. He would argue, saying everything's fine. I immediately went home, and when I entered the house, I did not find him. I shouted his name, but got nothing. I went into the bedroom and saw that my daughter was awake, and her diaper was not changed, and worse was that her bottle was not even touched. I was confused. I got out and noticed that his office door was closed. I figured he was doing a live stream from the noise I heard. I was beyond seething. I barged into that office and saw him sitting there. I blew up while he was trying to turn his mic off and telling me to stop. But I did not stop. I berated him for leaving our daughter unattended and with no milk nor diaper change. He freaked out on me, saying I just ended his entire channel and destroyed his fan base for interrupting his live stream and embarrassing and scandalizing him like that. I told him not to say a word, but he kept calling me out of control and unhinged. He was almost crying, so I had to leave the office. He kept fighting with me till I decided to go stay with my mother. He started blaming me for ignoring his needs after he already expressed them, and that he forgot to do what I asked him and I've cost him so much. He's now telling us to come home because he misses his daughter. Not the a-hole. It sounds like this dude was straight up neglecting his baby. The fact that he did not even check for 4 hours on his own child and decided to do something else on the computer in a separate room. That's a big red flag, and I hope that this works out the best for their family, but if he doesn't change his ways, who knows? Guys, that's all the content I have for you today. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, smash that like button, and I'll see you in the next one.